Namaskar, a warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Nobhanita Adhikari bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. State-of-art Chennai Airport Phase 1 new integrated terminal building inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. 2 Vande Bharat Express trains flagged off by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Deputy Foreign Minister of Ukraine arrives on a 4-day state visit to India to discuss bilateral issues. China conducts warning military exercise at Taiwan Strait median line. Israel conducts airstrikes in retaliation to the firings of Palestinian militant group. U.S. Food and Drug Administration files petition against 50 years old landmark ruling of women's right to abortion. Priyanshu Rajawat beats Nat Nguyen of Ireland to reach finals, will face Denmark's Magnus Johansson on Sunday for the title clash. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the 37-kilometer new broad gauge section between Tiruthurai-Pundi and Agastyampalli, completed at a cost of Rs 294 crores. The new branch line will benefit the movement of edible and industrial salt from various salt hubs in and around the Agastyampalli in Nagapattinam district, besides benefiting farmers and traders in the region. He also flagged off a demi service between Tiruthurai-Pundi and Agastyampalli. The improved connectivity through demo services will benefit students, skilled and unskilled workforce employed at various industries and traders in Tiruvarur and Nagapattinam districts. PM Modi also flagged off a new tri-weekly express service between Tambaram and Sengotai. The train service will provide direct connectivity to Chennai for remote stations in the Delta districts of Tiruvarur, Tanjavur and for Amba Samudram in Tirunelveli district. This will also be the first regular train service from Chennai to Tiruvur Karaikodi section. This service will benefit especially students, employees, business persons and regular travellers, and will also help boost tourism in the south portion of Western Ghats. Chief Minister M.K. Stalin thanked the Prime Minister for inaugurating many infrastructure and development projects in the state. Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi flagged off the prestigious Vande Bharat Express train from Secunderabad to Tirupati from Secunderabad railway station on Saturday. This is the second Vande Bharat train for the two Telugu states of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. He interacted with the students and the loco pilot, sharing their joy before flagging off the train. The train stops at Nalgonda, Guntur, Ongole and Nellore and will reduce the travelling time to 8 hours 30 minutes from over 10 hours earlier. Telangana Governor Dr. Tamilisai Sundarajan and Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, Union Culture Minister G. Kishan Reddy were also present at the flag-off. The first Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Ms. Amin Zaparova, will be on a 4-day visit to India from Sunday. During the visit, Ms. Zaparova will hold talks with Sanjay Verma, Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. Both sides are expected to discuss bilateral relations. They will also exchange views on the current situation in Ukraine and global issues of mutual interest. Ms. Zaparova will also call on Minister of State for External Affairs Meenakshi Lekhi and meet Deputy National Security Advisor Vikram Mishri. India shares warm and friendly relations and multifaceted cooperation with Ukraine. Over the last 30 years of establishing diplomatic relations, bilateral cooperation between the two countries has made significant progress in the areas of trade, education, culture and defense. The Taiwanese Defense Ministry said that 42 Chinese military planes and 8 ships crossed the Taiwan Strait median line, which is an unofficial dividing line between Chinese and Taiwanese territory on Saturday. China's military has begun rehearsing the encirclement of Taiwan during 3 days of military drill. The exercises began hours after Taiwan's president, Tsai Ing-wen, returned from a trip to the United States. Beijing called the operation a stern warning to the island's government. The current encirclement is being seen as a reaction to President Tsai and U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's meeting that took place on Wednesday. In an official statement on Saturday, President Tsai said that her government would continue working with the U.S. and other democracies as the island faces continued authoritarian expansionism from China. According to the People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command, the 3-day Operation United Sharp Sword around Taiwan will continue till the coming Monday. Earlier in August last year, Beijing had carried out almost a week of drills around Taiwan after Kevin McCarthy's predecessor, Nancy Pelosi, visited Taipei. Delegates participating in the second G20 Developing Working Group meeting at Kumarakom on Saturday addressed the need to enhance interlinkages between the developmental and environmental agenda by maximizing synergies and minimizing trade-offs. Experts from UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, World Bank and the International Energy Agency highlighted methods to bridge development and environment agenda through lifestyle for environment. The participants also deliberated on ways to strengthen the G20 commitment towards achieving sustainable development goals by recognizing the needs of developing countries and addressing them through collaborative and collective actions. They discussed the need to enhance coordination within and outside G20, particularly with the UN and international organizations, to address the developmental challenges facing the world. Saturday's session were co-chaired by India's Development Working Group co-chairs Nagaraj K. Naidu and Ineem Gambhir, Joint Secretaries in the Ministry of External Affairs. This is All India Radio giving you the world news. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on India shows economic resilience amid global turmoil.
India's economy has demonstrated remarkable resilience despite challenging external conditions, according to the World Bank's latest India Development Update titled Navigating the Storm. Although the deteriorating external environment will affect India's growth prospects, the report finds that the country is relatively well positioned to weather global spillovers compared to most other emerging markets. The World Bank has revised its 2022-23 GDP forecast for India upwards to 6.9% from 6.5%, taking into account the strong performance in the second quarter of the 2022-23 financial year. Despite facing challenges, the update expects India to register strong GDP growth and remain one of the fastest-growing major economies in the world thanks to robust domestic demand. India's economy is relatively insulated from global spillovers compared to other emerging markets. This is due in part to India's large domestic market and its relatively low exposure to international trade flows. The report finds that a 1% decline in U.S. growth is associated with a 0.4% decline in India's growth. However, the negative effect of declining U.S. growth is around 1.5 times larger for other emerging economies, including China. Over the past decade, India's external position has improved considerably. The current account deficit is adequately financed by improving foreign direct investment inflows and a solid cushion of foreign exchange reserves. India has one of the largest holdings of international reserves globally. Policy reforms and prudent regulatory measures have also played a key role in developing resilience in the economy. Increased reliance on market borrowings has improved the transparency and credibility of fiscal policy, and the government has diversified the investor base for government securities. The introduction of a formal inflation targeting framework during the past decade was an important step in lending credibility to monetary policy decisions. The report notes that both levers of macroeconomic macroeconomic policy, fiscal and monetary, have played a role in managing the challenges that have emerged over the past year. The Reserve Bank of India's Monetary Review Policy Committee's review maintained that real gross domestic product increased by 6.3% year-on-year. Economic activity in the third quarter of the current fiscal year is exhibiting resilience. In the agriculture sector, Rabi sowing has picked up with a 6.4% increase over the previous year, supported by the good progress of the northeast monsoon and above average reservoir levels. Activity in the industry and services sectors is in expansion mode as reflected in purchasing managers' indices and other economic indicators. Aggregate demand is in good shape due to pent-up spending and discretionary expenditures during the festival season. Urban demand has remained buoyant and rural demand is recovering. Investment activity is in modest expansion. Merchandise exports contracted in October after an expansion for 19 consecutive months, while growth in non-oil, non-gold imports decelerated. At a time when other South Asian economies like Pakistan and Sri Lanka are facing crises due to several reasons such as Sri Lanka's economic crisis, Pakistan's catastrophic floods, global slowdown and the impact of the war in Ukraine, India has remained a bright spot and beacon of hope for the region. The Indian economy has demonstrated remarkable resilience despite external challenges. The country is expected to register strong GDP growth and its domestic demand will continue to be the driving force behind this growth. While the deteriorating external environment will affect India's growth prospects, the country is relatively well positioned to weather global spillovers compared to most other emerging markets.
Bangladesh Power Development Board received 450 megawatt of electricity from the Godda plant of Adani Power on Thursday night. It was further increased to 750 megawatt, reports the official news agency BSS. The official spokesperson of BPDP said that the power supply from the Godda plant will rise gradually in line with the demand. He informed that Bangladesh is receiving quality electricity from the Godda plant. Before the start of the commercial supply from Thursday, the Adani power plant in Godda, Jharkhand had conducted a 14 days reliability test during which uninterrupted supply for 72 hours at peak load was tested. Adani Power and BPDP completed the work of the transmission line between the test run. The Power Grid Company of Bangladesh PGCP constructed 134 kilometers of transmission line from the Chapai Nawabganj border to the Bogra substation for receiving electricity from the Godda plant of Adani Power. Bangladesh currently imports 1,160 megawatt of power from India. It receives 1,000 megawatt of electricity from Behrampur in West Bengal via Kushtia's Beramara and 160 megawatt from Suryamuni in Tripura via Komila, Delhi. India is the only country with whom Bangladesh has cross-border electricity trade. Israel carried out airstrikes on Saturday on targets belonging to the Palestinian militant group Hamas in southern Lebanon and Gaza Strip. Israeli military said the attacks were a response to dozens of rockets fired from Lebanon into northern part of the country. The barrage of rockets Lebanon was the largest since a 2006 war between the two countries. Militants in Gaza fired dozens more rockets after the strikes began. According to Israeli officials, 2 Israeli sisters were killed in a shooting attack near a settlement in the occupied West Bank hours after the Israeli strikes. Tensions are high in the region following 2 nights of Israeli police raids at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem earlier this week. South Korean Foreign Affairs Minister Park Jin on Friday called on Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar in New Delhi, highlighting the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations between India and South Korea. They discussed the significance of cultural and people-to-people ties in strengthening the special strategic partnership. South Korean Foreign Affairs Minister also met External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. Dr. Jaishankar said the discussions will take forward the special strategic partnership between the two nations. During his opening statement, the External Affairs Minister pointed to Buddhism connection between India and South Korea. In a statement in Hindi, South Korean Foreign Minister expressed happiness over his visit to India. He said he is keen to work towards strengthening ties between India and South Korea. The United States, South Korea and Japan expressed deep concerns over North Korea's malicious cyber activities to support its weapons programs. In a joint statement issued on Friday, officials and experts in the three countries said cryptocurrency funds stolen by North Korean hackers have been a key source for financing the sanctions-stricken country's weapons program. According to the statement, using the acronym for North Korea's official name, they reiterated with concern that overseas DPRK IT workers continue using forged identities and nationalities to evade United Nations sanctions and raise funds for missile programs. They also said that they are also deeply concerned about how the DPRK supports these programs by stealing and laundering funds as well as gathering information through malicious cyber activities. And now we bring you the G20 roundup for the current week.
G20 India 2023. One Earth, one family, one future.
A series of events under India's G20 presidency were held this week. Let us take a look at the events which showcase the importance of G20. Ongoing, the second meeting of G20 Development Working Group (DWG) is being convened from 6th to 9th April 2023 in Kumarakom in the district of Kottayam, Kerala. Over 80 delegates from G20 members, 9 invitee countries and various international and regional organizations are attending the meeting. The meeting was preceded by a side event on data for development, lifestyle for environment and just green transitions on 6th April 2023. The participants included several high-profile experts and speakers from academia, think tanks and civil society. The discussions at the side event set the tone for the meetings on 7th to 9th April. On the sidelines, India's DWG co-chairs, Ministry of External Affairs Joint Secretaries Mr. K. Nagaraj Naidu and Ms. Enam Gambhir are holding several bilateral discussions with counterparts from G20 and guests. Past events. Second G20 Tourism Working Group meeting. The second meeting of Tourism Working Group TWG under India's G20 presidency successfully concluded on April 3rd. The three-day meeting held in Siliguri and Darjeeling in West Bengal witnessed engaging discussions. The participants include the delegations from G20 members, guest countries and invited international organizations. Focus was on the 5 priority areas of green tourism, digitalization skills, tourism MSMEs and destination management. On the sideline, G20 delegates took part in a panel discussion on the development of adventure tourism and its transformative power in achieving SDGs. Case studies from UK, Mexico, Canada, Germany, Japan, Brazil and from the Indian state of Uttarakhand were presented. Second Energy Transitions Working Group meeting. The week saw the second Energy Transitions Working Group meeting ETWG under India's G20 presidency being held successfully in Gandhinagar on 3rd April. The two-day meeting witnessed the participation of over 100 delegates from G20 member countries, 10 special invitee countries and 14 international organizations. Member countries' focus was on key priority areas outlined under India's presidency. On the sidelines, the meeting was complemented by 3 side events: green hydrogen advancing net zero pathways, diversified renewable energy supply chains for advancing energy transitions, and accelerating cooling as a key enabler towards energy transition. The emphasis was on policy, regulatory and financial frameworks and to promote cooperation amongst G20 nations. The event also featured an exhibition where India's first H2 internal combustion engine ICE truck was displayed. The second Energy Transitions Working Group meeting with a commitment by member countries to advance the cause of global cooperation in clean energy transition. The third Energy Transitions Working Group meeting will be held in Mumbai from 15th to 17th May. Second Employment Working Group meeting. The second Employment Working Group EWG meeting under India's G20 presidency concluded on April 5th at Guwahati, Assam. Ms. Aarti Ahuja, Secretary Labour and Employment and G20 EWG Chair, steered the discussions. The focus was on addressing global skill gaps, gig and platform economy and social protection and sustainable financing of social security. More than 74 delegates from over 19 G20 member countries, 7 guest countries and 5 international organizations took part in the meet. These include International Labour Organization, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and International Social Security Association, World Bank and Asian Development Bank, among others. Side event of 2nd G20 Development WGM in Kumarakom. On 6th April, side event covering the issues of data for development D4D, lifestyle for environment and transitions globally, Just Transitions, was held in Kumarakom. The event was organized by Ministry of External Affairs and G20 Secretariat. The partners Research and Information System for Developing Countries, the Energy and Resource Institute, United Nations in India, Digital Impact Alliance, and United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Over 150 delegates and participants from G20 members, 9 invitee countries and various international and regional organizations, along with representatives from government, intergovernmental organizations, civil society and private companies participated in the event. Engagement group meetings. S20 conference was held in Agartala during 3rd to 4th April on the theme of Clean Energy for a Greener Future. Another big event was the B20 conference held in Kohima during 4th to 6th April. The theme was Opportunities for Multilateral Business Partnerships in Agriculture and Food Processing. Upcoming events. Among the upcoming events are included the 2nd Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting from 12th to 13th April. A virtual conference on the theme of Harnessing Living Heritage for a Sustainable Future would be held on 13th April. A Steel Zero India conclave in New Delhi has been planned on 11th April. A national conference on women engendering will be held in New Delhi on 13th April under B20 events list. Under the aegis of Science 20, a conference on holistic national health has been scheduled from 1st to 2nd May at the Bangaram Island, Lakshadweep.
G20 India 2023. One Earth, one family, one future.
The U.S. Food and Drug Administration (FDA) filed an appeal on Friday against a ruling by a federal judge that overturned the approval of a safe and effective abortion that latest volley in a conservative battle against reproductive rights in the United States. If it stands, the ruling by an appointee of former U.S. President Donald Trump would reverse permission granted by the FDA for mifepristone, a drug widely used for over 2 decades to terminate unwanted pregnancies. The conservative-dominated panel last year overturned the landmark Roe v. Wade ruling that had enshrined a women's right to abortion for half a century. Finance Minister of India Nirmala Sitharaman will leave for USA tonight to attend the spring annual meetings of the International Monetary Fund, World Bank. The meeting will be attended by finance ministers and central bankers from across the world. The meeting is scheduled to take place from Monday at IMF headquarters in Washington, D.C. On the sidelines of the spring annual meetings, Ms. Sitharaman will have bilateral engagements with her respective counterparts from G20 countries and heads of other delegations. Ms. Sitharaman and Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikant Das will also jointly chair the 2nd G20 Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors FMCBG meeting on 12th of this month. Around 350 delegates from G20 members, 13 invitee countries and various international and regional organizations will participate in the meeting. They will engage in multilateral discussions centered around a broad spectrum of pressing global issues. During the meeting, the focus will be on issues such as addressing food and energy insecurity, managing global debt vulnerabilities, strengthening multilateral development banks, mobilizing finance for climate action, and accelerating progress on international tax and financial sector issues. The Finance Ministry said the meeting will take stock of the progress made on outcomes envisaged under India's G20 Finance Track agenda. The 2nd G20 FMCBG meeting will advance efforts towards the preparation of G20 India Finance Track deliverables for the 3rd G20 FMCBG meeting to be held in Gandhinagar, Gujarat in July this year. President of India Draupadi Murmu has extended her greetings to all citizens living in India and abroad on the eve of Easter. She said this festival is a symbol of love and compassion. President Murmu said Jesus Christ gave the message of love and forgiveness by sacrificing his life for truth and justice. She said Jesus Christ's life is an ideal example of compassion and sacrifice. The President asked everyone to spread love and harmony in the society by adopting the values of Jesus Christ and take a pledge for contributing to the development of nation. Vice President of India Jagdeep Dhankar has greeted people on the eve of Easter. In his message, he said, the solemn occasion of Easter commemorates the resurrection of Lord Christ. Mr. Dhankar said it is a reminder of the transformative power of love, compassion and forgiveness. Vice President wished that the spirit of Easter bring everyone closer, generating harmony and peace. A new batch of classified documents that appear to detail U.S. national security secrets from Ukraine to the Middle East to China surfaced on social media sites on Friday, alarming the Pentagon and adding turmoil to a situation that seemed to have caught the Biden administration off guard. U.S. officials said that the scale of the leak along with the sensitivity of the documents could be hugely damaging. A senior intelligence official called the leak a nightmare for the Five Eyes. In reference to the United States, Britain, Australia, New Zealand and Canada, the so-called Five Eyes nations that broadly share intelligence. India's Priyanshu Rajawat stormed into the finals of the Orleans Masters Super 300 badminton tournament in France with a straight win against Ireland's Nat Nguyen in the semi-finals on Saturday evening. The 21-year-old, who was part of the India team that won the 2022 Thomas Cup, dished out an attacking game to outplay the world number 35, Nguyen, 21-12, 21-9, to progress to his maiden final of a Super 300 World Tour event. He will face Denmark's Magnus Johansson in the summit clash on Sunday. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world, as reported in the foreign press. The Financial Times writes China launches military drills after Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen's U.S. trip. The Wall Street Journal reports tense calm on borders after Israel-Palestinian militants exchange fire. The Guardian writes gunmen kill at least 46 people in attack on rural village in Nigeria. The New York Times reports Macron wraps up China visit but little progress seen on war. The Straits Times reports global food costs mark 1 year of drop at odds with inflation. The Business Recorder writes U.S. Navy sends guided missile submarine to Middle East. Le Monde writes hundreds attend funeral of Russian pro-war blogger killed in bomb attack. Now a quick look at the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates Phase 1 of new integrated terminal building at Chennai Airport today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi flags off Secunderabad-Tirupati Vande Bharat Express, the second train of the Telugu region. Deputy Foreign Minister of Ukraine on a 4-day state visit to India to discuss bilateral issues. China conducts warning military exercise at Taiwan Strait median line. Israel conducts airstrikes in retaliation to the firing of Palestinian militant group. U.S. Food and Drug Administration files petition against 50-year-old landmark ruling of women's right to abortion. Priyanshu Rajawat beats Nat Nguyen of Ireland to reach finals, will face Denmark's Magnus Johansson on Sunday for the summit. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Israel.
Vishnu Vajana
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.